What's up, y'all? It's your boy Dellz. Okay, you already know what it is. This is Facebook Live with Dellz. I have a very, very special situation today. Okay, I've been doing this Facebook Live for about a month, maybe about a month, and I've enjoyed all of them to date. I've had some great guests. I've had some of my family on here. I've had some of my friends on here. Had some good people. We've talked about some good things. I always like to kind of recap on why I'm doing this and how it started, I guess. But in a nutshell, we've been dealing with this pandemic with the COVID-19. And I seen a post of a friend of mine who I guess she contracted COVID-19, and she mentioned in her post that she would rather have all four of her kids again, give birth to all four of her kids again, than to have suffered with this COVID-19. But at the end, she said, "You know what? But I'm here. I'm victorious over it, and I'm well." And she was 15 pounds lighter, but but she was well. I guess I wish I could get 15 pounds lighter. I just need 5 pounds. How about that? Just 6, 7 pounds. Okay. But but when I thought about it, I said, you know, that's good. And I knew some other people who beat it as well. So I said, well, let me use my little platform and just kind of inject some hope into the people and talk about, you know, celebrate these people who beat it. So I've been doing that. I've talked to some nurses. I've talked to some family members who had family members who had it. I've talked to individuals who actually had it and they had it bad. And I've talked to some other people. So it's been pretty good lately, and I'm glad. But today is really special because, as you all know, we're in a different pandemic now, and you know, and it has all to do with our law enforcement officers, unfortunately. And you know, I figured I'd gather some of my friends as I have been, and to come on here live and talk about it. You know what I mean? So that's what we're going to do today. I see one of my boys in the back, Joel, is in the building. I see you, bro. Just kind of waiting for the other two to come on, Nick and George. Hopefully they're okay and they're on their way. I also see Angela Patterson in the building. I see you. Hey, Angela. My mother's watching. And Joel's watching too. I don't know how you're doing that, bro. You got 2 or 3 phones. Hope it ain't no burner phone, sir. Okay, because you're a cop. So shout out to all y'all. So yeah, I mean, this is what we're doing today. I got 3 good brothers. Like I said, Joel, he's in the building. He serves as a law enforcement officer in the area of New York and New Jersey. And I also have my brother Nick, who's in the building. Soon he'll be here, and he serves in the area of New York. And I also have my brother George, who serves in the air as a police officer in the area of DC. All right. So we are going to, I'm gonna probably bring Joel in real quick, but I want to shout out Deanne. Shannon's in the building. Carolyn, what's up, Carolyn? Robin Pennington's in the building. What's up, y'all? It's gonna be good today, y'all. So hang out with us. All right. I don't know. Let me see if I can see the comments. Oh, I can see the comments. Yeah. Okay. That's good. So we good. Okay. So we're going to get right in. Okay. Joel's here. I'm going to bring him in. And then we're going to go forth from there. All right. So I want y'all to put your hands together. Okay. Your virtual hands, because I can't see y'all. Put your virtual hands together for my boy, police officer Joel.
How you doing, guys? How you doing?
What's up, bro?
How's everything, man?
Good, man. Good, man. Good.
You made me laugh.
I'm
Put your hands together.
Yeah. You got. Listen, we've been doing this virtual thing for the last 4 months. Okay. You know, when I got out of my job, my boss told me that I have to release you today. I was like, what? What you mean release me? So, you know, with her smirk, this is the relationship we have. She's like, no, I gotta let you go today because you're non-essential. Okay. So I never felt so good and so bad about myself in one moment. I'm not essential because I don't have a clinical license. So I was like, okay, no problem. And I've been working from home ever since. You know what I mean? So this virtual thing to me is good and it's bad. You know what I mean? But
sorry to hear you're not essential, man.
Yeah, I'm not essential, bro. I was like, you just disrespectful, huh? You just gonna call me not essential to my face? Like,
I'm sorry to tell you that, man. You're essential to us, Warda.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. No, but my boss is a great person. She's a great boss, and I respect her highly, and I love her dearly. And as you guys that are watching, if you've been watching before, you know that I mentioned my boss before because she actually contracted COVID herself, and she's pretty bad. She was pretty bad. You know, my colleague who was her good friend told me that we almost lost her in the beginning. But thank God, you know, soon as I heard about it, we went to praying. My family went to praying. I asked a lot of people I know that do prayer calls to pray. So listen, I believe God that the prayers is what nurtured her. God sent peace to her mind and healing to her body. So she's not all the way back, but she's back and she's doing well. So thank you guys that were praying for her. But my boss is a jokester, so telling me that I was non-essential was just a part of the whole thing. Yeah, man.
Well, she's got a jokester working for her too.
Yeah. We have a good time. We always have a good time. Shout out to Shola. Shola Smith is in the building of smithblends.com. Y'all check her out. These are natural tea drinks that is good for your soul and for your body. Okay, so go check out smithblends.com. She's one of our sponsors of Facebook Live. AKA,
see, look at you, man. You're such a natural.
Look, AKA one of my friends who I just want to shout out. Like, that's all. So, you like the backdrop, Shola? That is the African American flag. A friend of mine just texted me and said, "You want one?" I said, "Sure, yeah, why not?" So I threw it up. Because as you can see, I'm African American. Okay. So listen, Joel, we're gonna get into it, bro. Because I don't know where your boys are. Okay.
I got to call for backup, man. I got to call for backup.
Call for backup, bro. I hope they're not late to the patrol, because
they're leaving me all by myself out here.
All by yourself. They just let me all by yourself. So hey Janice, I see you, Janice. So listen, we are all familiar with what's going on in the world. We got this thing we're calling police brutality. We got COVID-19. We got the Black Lives Matter movement going on, the protests, looting. This 2020 needs to go sit down. Okay, 2020 has brought us something that we will never forget. I'm telling you. And I mean, for the last 4 months, we've been dealing with this COVID-19, and we lost people. Rest in peace to the people that I know. One of my former volunteers, her name is Pat Allen. Rest in peace. One of my colleagues, Ava, she passed away from COVID-19. A chaplain I know from East Jersey State Prison, when I used to work there, Reverend McClendon, he passed away. So rest in peace, all you guys. And I mean, it's unfortunate, but we're still here. We're alive, and we remain. And it hasn't been easy. There's been job loss. There's been anxiety is at an all-time high. I in my own opinion, and depression. It's not easy. And then we got to wear these masks, and I really can't breathe because I'm already fat. Okay, and then you put the mask on my face. I'm walking around the city like this. I can't breathe, and then every moment I get a whiff of the smelly subway, and it's just bad. I'm not about this mask life, man. I'm telling you. I don't know how y'all do it as police officers. How do y'all do it, like standing there with all these masks on? I'm like,
Yeah, we have to have it on as well, and it's very annoying. I saw a post that you put up the other day saying that you take it off as soon as you come out of the store, and I'm with you, man. I'm the same way. I put it on just as I'm going into the store, and as soon as I'm coming out, I take it off. Man,
listen, and then I work uptown, so like I'm taking the train. When I go once a week, but I take the train. I'm walking upstairs, 2 or 3 flights of stairs. I'm out of breath. Okay, I need this mask off as soon as I get outside. Then I get outside, people looking at me strange. Like, don't look at me strange, okay? This is a struggle, okay? This is a struggle for me. Stop playing.
You gonna make me spit my coffee out, man?
No, don't spit your coffee out, sir. Don't spit your coffee out, sir. Anyway, that's tragic for me. Okay, this whole mask thing is tragic for me. But it's cool. It's what we got to do. You know what I mean? It's important that we do that to keep ourselves safe. I see my other boy in the back. Nick is in the building. I see him. About to bring you on.
My
Nick.
backup is here. Yes.
The backup is in the building. Okay. Nick, we're gonna bring you onto the stream. Okay, I need you guys to put your virtual hands together for my boy Nick. Okay.
Hey,
Nick is in the building.
What's going on? What's going on, brothers? Y'all doing all right?
We good, bro. Your haircut look like mine. Okay.
Yeah.
You just got a lot more than me. Okay. You got a lot more than me, sir. That's what's up.
Oh man.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm blessed, bro. I can't complain. I can't complain.
Very good.
I can't complain.
Nick, I was about to call a 13, man. Where are you at?
Trying to clear everybody out of here.
Yeah, that's code word for backup, Wardell, in case you're wondering.
Yeah. I mean, listen. Or Nick's married, so I'm saying, you could have got caught up a little bit. Okay.
Now I'm trying to keep them out.
Kick him out. Okay, kick him out. Come back later, baby. Come back later. Okay. Shout out to Leah who's watching. Leah is our co-producer of this Facebook Live. It's hilarious. Leah is amazing. She does good work. And you guys know her husband, Chauncey. Shout out to Chauncey. I think Joel, you know Chauncey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Muscles, yeah. I said, sir, I used to look like you in another life. Okay. I used to have muscles too. You know what I mean? But anyway, we're gonna dig in, guys. The first thing I do want to say publicly is respect to both of you, salute to both of you. I know you guys personally, and I know you guys are good dudes, period. So I know that transfers out there to the street. So, and we need more you guys like that out there in the street. You guys have a very difficult job, and I have the utmost respect for individuals that go out into the street, into this dangerous world. And this world is not the same as it was 30 years ago. You know what I mean? In many aspects, especially with the invention of all this technology, it's all kinds of stuff going on, and that you guys have to deal with. So, I utmost respect to you guys for what you do in and out of the blue uniform or whatever color you wear. Because some of y'all brown, some of y'all blue, some of y'all, I think you guys wear blue, but I done see some things because I like to watch cops. So I see cops from all over, and they got all different color uniform. I seen the yellow shirt before. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? I thought it was
they trying to ban the show, Dellz.
They try. I know. No. They took it off. They actually banned the show. They took the show off, and for some strange reason, I love cop shows. I watch all of them, like Live PD, cops. I'm just attracted to that type of. I guess I'm nosy. I like to see what's going on. What's up, cousin? I see you, Raven. I like to know what's going on. I like the behind the scenes type of stuff. But yeah, so hats off to both of you guys. Respect to you guys, you both of you. I salute both of y'all. Honestly, from my heart, I do. You know what I mean? And again, I know you both, so you're good dudes. So I know that translates out into the street. So listen, guys, Joel and Nick protect and serve, okay, in the areas of New York and New Jersey. I'm not going to release their agencies, because of legal issues, but we'll just say that they serve in New York and New Jersey, and they serve well. Nick, how long you been on the force? For like 4 years?
I've been with my department for 19 years, and I've been in office for 16.
Where I get 4 years from?
I look young.
That's just disrespectful. I'm sorry, sir. What about you?
No, it's all right. That's how I like it.
There you go.
Thinking I'm new.
Because you only look like 22, so you only could have been on the force for 4 years. That's it. I just got myself. That's good. Joel, how long you been on the force?
It's gonna be 7 years in August.
7 years, bro. Well, that's the number of perfection, bro. So you're doing good. They kept you, okay? That's good money. That's good money. That's good money. So listen, I wanted to do this because we see all this going on out here, and unfortunately, our police departments are at the center of it, and that's unfortunately from a civilian side and from you guys' side. You know what I mean? You guys got issues that you deal with, and the world has issues that we deal with in terms of police officers too. But I wanted to kind of have you guys come on here and share from your perspective. And I think that's important. George, who's not here yet, I don't know if he got caught up. Maybe I called in to a special assignment or something. But don't think you're gonna get his back up, Joel, because he ain't here right now. That's my bro. That's my boy. I can talk about him. But I wanted to, like, he mentioned to me. He said, you know what? He said, we have our side, we have our perspective and point of view, but the public, civilians, have to listen. They have to be willing to listen. So that's the point of this today. Is I want the people that are watching the live, I want them to take a chance and listen to what you guys have to say. We're gonna break down some of the things that have happened, some of the videos we've seen. We're gonna talk about how you guys feel as persons of color. You know what I mean? Joel, you're Portuguese, so you're included with us, bro. Okay, and Nick, of course, you're black. Brown skinned brother. Okay, and so that also has a perspective on this on everything that we talk about today. So let's dig in. I see you, Steve Strickland, host with the most, and I probably should say that we should reserve that for women. Renee, I see you. Mark Addison, what's up, bro? So listen, guys. All right, so let's talk. Tell me what's going on out there right now. Like, how's it feel being an officer right now in this time frame that we're living in?
Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, okay. Right now, being an officer is a catch-22. The reason I say it's a catch-22 because I'm catching flack from a bunch of sides. Some people catch flack from family, catch flack from the community, and I'm a community person, so catching flack from the community, that's something else. Additionally, you know, you hear things from, well, number one, let me start off with this. I've been out there at some of the protests, some of the rallies, even some of just some of the protests, some of the rallies. I'll just leave it at that. And to hear other Black people call me a turncoat because of the uniform that I wear, it's not an easy thing. It's not a nice thing. And then to hear Caucasian people tell me that I'm a turncoat, as much pride as I take in being Black, you know. And I love my job. I love the job that I have. But to hear that, it really, you know, it fries me. But being an officer right now is a catch-22 because it's a job that I love. It's something that I take pride in. But just to catch all of the backlash that we are getting because of the negative few, it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
I can imagine.
It's I agree with that 100%. It's definitely a challenge. Somebody said to me the other day, man, you picked a bad time to be a cop. And I was like, nah, I picked the best time because light shines brightest in the darkest room. And the room is dark right now, but it's an opportunity to show another side. It's an opportunity to let the light shine, as cliche as that may sound. But just to delve in a little bit, the other day we had a job where we were called to a 811 kilo, which is knife. There's a weapon involved. So we're all running to the job, and the train had been cleared out. It was cleared out because this guy brandished a knife, a machete, allegedly for no reason. And when he did that, everybody left that train. When we were coming down the escalators to effect an arrest, the gentleman had the guy had already been arrested. I guess he wasn't a gentleman. The guy had already been arrested, and he was in handcuffs, and he was screaming. And as I looked to the left, there's two white females that were outside the train with their smartphones out, recording all up in everybody's faces, thinking they're going to be the next hero to deliver to the mainstream media a new hot story. We had 3 or 4 people inside the train recording as well. Meanwhile, nobody from the platform knew what was going on. They just saw one black male in handcuffs being escorted by 2 white cops, and all of us running to this job. Nobody knew, but everybody had their smartphone out, ready to record and, you know, put it on their Facebook. But look what I just saw. Look at these cops harassing another. And nobody knew that this man had just had a machete on the train, brandished it, and was going to stab someone. Didn't get to, thank God, nobody got hurt. And the arrest was made. That's just to paint a small picture of what happens on a daily, on weekly basis. I know some departments deal with it more than others, but everybody wants to have a phone out now, and I understand that. However, it's very good for the public to be mindful of the fact that there's real dangers involved, and it would be nice for the public not to be so quick to think before they act, is what I'm saying in regards to that. But that's just a little picture of what's transpiring lately.
Yeah, man, that's I mean, it's something, but it rocks with all that's going on right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the cameras, y'all probably just gonna have to get used to that, because that's not gonna die. No, yeah. I mean, cameras.
In my early 20s, Dell, I was trying to be an actor. I was always trying to be on camera, and you know what? Now I'm always on camera, so I'm ready for it, baby.
There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. And the thing is, you know, the pressure of that, even to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Well, none of us are perfect. You know what I mean? If you happen to feel in the moment that you need to jab somebody in the face to get them down because you can't take them down, you know, somebody with a camera could take that, clip it, and now you going down because you know, jab somebody in the face, but they didn't see the whole story. Like you said, you know, this guy was brandishing a machete. Dang, machete. Not even a knife. He had a whole machete. And nobody's seen that part. They just see the white officers arresting the black guy, and they take their cameras out. I mean, listen, you gotta get used to it though, like I said, because cameras have saved a lot of situations. You know what I mean? And the pressure's on both sides. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Truth.
So you said, Joel, that the room is dark. And you know what? I think that is the case on both parts. You know what I mean? African Americans, the room has literally been dark for 400 years. You know what I mean? Now, let me tell you something interesting. When I heard about the George Floyd incident, when I read it, it was early on, and for some reason, I was like, this hit differently. It hit differently, and I don't know why. Well, I know why now. I didn't know why in the moment why it would hit differently, but I think it pointed to a moment where we were fed up. You know what I mean? It's just too many and too frequently, and I think everybody had the same idea in their head. You know what I mean? That it's too much and it's too frequent. Where you guys at with some of these videos? Let's talk about that. Like we got the George Floyd knee in the neck. You know, we have what was it? The young boy's name that was in the middle of the street, and he had a knife in his hand. I understand that he was mentally challenged, and they shot him from the middle of the street. It's right on the tip of my tongue. We have him. We got Eric Garner in New York City. You know, a knee to the neck, chokehold. That was a chokehold. We got so many. Where are you guys at with some of these? Some of these. Just talk to one or two of these videos that you might want to break down or something for the people.
I know definitely. Everyone that I work with, when it came to George Floyd, we were all in agreement that there was nothing justifiable about that. It was reprehensible. It was disgusting. And hopefully justice is served to the fullest extent of the law, because he not only took, meaning the officer, not only took a life by his actions, but it also, he made all of our jobs, Nick's, mine, he made all of our jobs a lot more difficult. And that I know when I was in the academy, I remember being specifically during the defensive tactics being trained, you never, and we were trained by some of the best Marines, and you never, ever, ever put your knee on someone's neck, specifically when they're in prone position, specifically when they're in handcuffs. You never put your knee on their neck, especially not for especially for as long as he did. So we were all angry. I'm talking about those in blue. It didn't matter what color our skin was. We're all angry because he took another human life. It was completely unnecessary, and we're all against it. And we hope and we wish the public would know that. Like, we're against that. He doesn't represent us. Yes, he's in blue, but his actions did not represent those that are called, sworn to serve and protect. So we were very angry at that. But I'm praying and hoping that justice is served for the Floyd family.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. That's kind of obvious.
Yeah.
You know, and then what they mentioned was that he had beef with George Floyd prior to the arrest because they both worked in a club together. George Floyd was a bouncer, I guess, and he was a police officer there, and they had beef with each other prior to that. So that adds, to it. And then also there were three other officers on the other side of the car
He was training. Allegedly, 2 of them were in training, as I understand it. That's even worse. That like there's levels to the egregiousness of this. Like 2 of them allegedly were on their first week of work. So Chauvin was the on-the-job trainer. So he's basically letting these guys know that this is what you're allowed to do, which is so bad. And another thing that I wanted to share on that is one of the officers, I don't know if it was one of the rookies, suggested, hey, maybe we should lay him on his side. And to even say that much when you have like a 17 or 19-year veteran who was doing this, it takes some guts, and nobody was going to tackle him off of George Floyd. None of those 3 officers were going to push him off if that's the expectation, you know. And as bad as it was, it's like you're on the job 19 years, where all of a sudden somebody in the first week that you're training comes and asks you, hey, Dellz, are we supposed to be doing this like this? You're gonna be like, what you do? You know. So I mean, obviously the optics are horrible on all levels, right? Even the officers that were with him, even the optics are bad. There's just nothing good about it. Nothing good at all.
Yeah. Nick, no,
it's the truth. With the whole incident, my heart always in the midst. I thought that Officer Chauvin what he did was horrible. In the midst of that, my heart still went out to the 2 new officers, because if you're with your training officer, then it's not necessary that you have to do what they say, but you're following their lead and you're trying to help and you're trying to assist. And so if this is your first arrest, you don't know exactly how to go about, because what you learn in police school is one thing, but when you're on the street, you have to apply everything that you learn in police school, but it's still a whole different level.
Right.
In real life right now, you're not dealing with other officers. You're dealing with real life. So you don't know exactly what to expect, what to do. And sometimes, because of tunnel vision, you forget some of the things that you learn in police school when you're out on the street, when you're brand new. So they were following their training officer. And so my heart went out to them, because now here are two guys. Now, let me just back up and say this. Regardless of how Officer Chauvin felt about Mr. Floyd due to prior incidents with working together, whatever the case may be, these 2 new officers had nothing to do with that. Probably didn't know nothing about that. They're just there trying to start their new career, you know, happy to be police officers. And they end up losing their jobs and possibly facing, if not life, a long prison sentence. You know, my heart goes out to them, because they didn't know. Yeah. They didn't know. Now, I do say this on the flip, and this is the catch-22 of it all. You do know enough when enough is enough. And like one officer who probably did say, you know, shouldn't we turn him on his side? You know, you do know when right is right and when wrong is wrong. You can't tell somebody to, hey, look, that's enough. Let's stop this. Let's stop. Let's stop. But I will say this. New officers make rookie mistakes, and this happened to be one of them. And
you said new officers make rookie mistakes?
Yes. You know, I've made my rookie mistakes when I was a rookie. I've listened to senior officers, and if I can go back and tell
I see what you're saying.
Tell myself what I know now back then, things wouldn't have went down. I wouldn't have listened to a lot of senior officers. I wouldn't have did some of the things that I did do, which is nothing crazy, nothing has, you know, but I know better as a senior officer. I've matured years. I know better.
I mean, that's like any job. You know what I mean? When you first get the job, you make some mistakes, but you 20 years in, we expect you to do better.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I don't know how long Chauvin was in, but if he was at the level of training officers, then he must have been in a good while. So we expect him to do better as a veteran officer. You know what I mean? Shout out to Mark Addison. Mark Addison said he had a few questions. He said, who authorized him to train? He said, who else did he train prior to George Floyd? I guess the officers that were involved in George Floyd incident. Which is important, because if he's involved in training, that means those new officers, there's more than those 2 new officers. You know what I mean? He's trained more than that. So he's instilled this this whatever is going on in his brain into other officers as well. You know what I mean?
It's the truth.
So shout out to Leah James. She's watching. If you have this, Beverly Smith is watching. I just like to shout out to people because
it's all good, man. It's your show. You do what you want.
I appreciate them. I appreciate them taking time out of their busy schedules, okay, to come on here and watch us. Yeah, I mean, so Kwame said, what about the not so obvious cases? Let's talk about them.
I would need a little more specific. I got one. Here's a controversial one. And I'll probably need your backup, Nick. There was one that happened about 4 years ago that everybody's familiar with. Michael Brown. Okay, now with this particular case, initially the media was reporting that the gentleman had placed his hands up and said, "Don't shoot," and that the officer fired and shot and killed him. According to eyewitnesses, multiple eyewitnesses, that did not occur. And so there was a lot of misinformation that was given out. And the forensics, as far as the forensics, the facts, the evidence, the forensics showed that not only did, after the strong arm robbery, shouldn't say armed, the strong arm robbery at the convenience store, when he was initially confronted by the Officer Wilson, he, according to eyewitness statements, he had physically charged. Now, Michael Brown was a very tall, big man. He charged at the officer. There is forensic evidence that he did have his fingerprints on his firearm, in addition to punching him multiple times in the face, breaking Officer Wilson's eye socket. Now, I've never punched. I have punched someone in the face before, not as a police officer, but when I was in school, I didn't break their socket, and I thought I had punched them hard. And this is back in 8th grade. That's a pretty hard punch, and to receive multiple punches in the face, and then the person also goes for your gun. You're letting me know your intentions right there, and so that one was a highly controversial one. But I mean, how should I say this? When you're charged and someone is going for your duty weapon, it may not end well. And obviously we never want any lives to be lost. I know Nick goes to work, puts on a uniform. We never want anyone's life to be lost. But when in a situation like that, and that's why Darren Wilson wasn't charged. He wasn't convicted of anything. He lost his job. He can never be a police officer anymore. But that's one of the more controversial ones, where initially the reports by the media were, officer shoots, kills unarmed black man. There's a little more to the details than that. See, the caption is catchy. It's emotional. It causes rage. It causes anger. But when you dig a little bit, you find more information. There's a lot more details to it than just officer kills unarmed black man. And while I'm on that, real quick, before I pass it to Nick, if the media's job, or what they wanted to do, their agenda was to show police misconduct or abuse of power, there was a story not too long ago in Union, New Jersey. The case has been handled already. It's finished already, and the officer is going to do a lot of time. That's why I feel the freedom to talk about it. There was a bar fight. It spilled outside. The off-duty officer, who was under the influence, fired his duty weapon. I guess he was losing the fight. Fired his duty weapon and killed the man. You know why I didn't make it on CNN, Dellz? You know why I didn't make it on MSNBC? You know why I didn't make national news? It only made local news, even though that story showed and depicted clearly this is an abuse of power. This is excessive force. He should have never fired his duty weapon. It was a fist fight gone wrong. Should have never used his duty weapon. The camera footage shows the officer's on the floor, takes out his duty weapon, fires, and kills the man. That's because they were both white. That's the only reason that it did not make national news. Because I'm sure CNN called the local news stations and tried to find out the particulars. But once they found out, the unarmed man was white, okay, you guys report that. I'm just saying that to show.
The media's job is to bring us, as much sensationalism as they can. Anything that's their job. But I mean, at the end of the day, though, I have to say this, Joel, that it's not making news. You know why? Because white people have not been. This has not been their plight for 400 years. You know what I mean? So that's a part of the reason why it's not going to make the news. I mean, listen, somebody's dead. So white, black, blue, brown, green, orange, somebody's dead, and rest in peace to that man. But and he didn't deserve to die. I don't care what color you are. If you don't deserve to die, you don't deserve to die. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, part of the reason is because it's not sensational. It's nothing to. It's not. Unfortunately, it's nothing to report. That's not what's hot on the block right now. Okay, that's not hot on the block. Wait, we had a question from Shola. This is a little long. She said, "Hey guys, just curious. What's the protocol when you guys pull up to the scene? Sometimes it seems like the whole entire department comes out to de-escalate a situation that's not even hostile." and hold on real quick, bro. Before you Leah asks, "How do you guys feel about Rayshard Brooks?" We'll get into that, Leah. Don't worry. Well, go ahead. Touch on that, gentlemen.
Go ahead, Nick.
What's the protocol when you guys pull up to the scene? Sometimes it seems like the whole entire department comes out to de-escalate a situation that's not even hostile. Depending on the climate that you're in, especially like the climate that we're in right now, you never know when it's. Some of our jobs seem like there aren't really emergencies, but we've been put on alert of ambushments because there've been departments and other agencies in other states that have been ambushed on non-emergency jobs or non-emergency situations. So that's why it seems, that's one of the reasons why it gives the appearance that the whole department, when it's not really the whole department, it just might be that that unit that shows up to a scene when it's not an emergency. Another reason is a lot of departments, believe it or not, are understaffed. There's not enough officers out there. And so in my agency, we always partnered up. We're partnered up. There's some agencies that aren't partnered up, but we're always partnered up. And depending on what kind of call it is, even if it's a non-emergency call, still depending on what kind of call it is, like a family dispute, we always try to back each other up as long as another unit is available. And that's why it appears that there are multiple officers or the whole agency showing up to a scene. One of the issues with that, talking about de-escalating a situation that's not even hostile, one of the issues with sometimes the whole agency, well, sometimes multiple officers coming out is because each officer is different. Each officer has their own temperament. And sometimes when one officer is trying to de-escalate a situation, sometimes people get agitated when they see multiple officers. I've gone to plenty of scenes, plenty of jobs. When I say jobs, I mean
calls,
911 calls, 301 calls, and multiple officers have shown up, and the individual, the caller, the victim, complainant, they didn't necessarily want all of the officers there. They said, I want to talk to either one or two of you, but that's it. So one or two of us would step into the apartment or step into the house while the other officers wait outside or wait in the hallway, whatever the case is. But that's the reason why. I hope I answered your question.
And sometimes also, Dellz, sometimes, I don't know where the person with this question, I don't know what situation they were in where that was the perception, but sometimes we're called to a job and the public is not privy to certain details. So let's say the witness called in because they saw a man and a woman fighting and they saw the man has a knife. Now the job is going to come over as man is alleged to have a weapon. Now, obviously there's going to be a more show of force. Now the public that is in the vicinity does not know that. So they see a lady and a man arguing. They're like, dang, it ain't even that serious. What's all these guys coming? What was all? And they have no clue that there's a knife in this situation. That's why there's a show of force. And so the perception is, man, they're exaggerating. Nobody needs all this police presence. There's only a guy and a girl. They're just arguing. It's just a little domestic situation. When unbeknownst to those in the area, there's a knife that's involved. And that's why. And this is the third time we're being called to this particular couple, So there's a lot more to it. The totality of the circumstances isn't always what the person sees.
So okay, so basically the answer is, that it's a lot more to it often than you see. And I mean, it makes sense, but you do have to understand the thought process of the people. You know what I mean? And it's not. I don't think it's only when there's some details that we don't know about, but it's happened. It's happened. I've seen it happen around my neighborhood. Around, somebody called. Maybe it was a car stopped. You know what I mean? And there's 3 cop cars for a traffic stop, and you're like, and they give them a ticket and they pull off. You know what I mean? It can be nerve-wracking for the public that's watching. You know what I mean? But I mean, I understand where you guys are coming from. Sir, Nick, your dad is on. Okay? Shout out your dad, bro.
What's going on, Dad?
Okay. And of course he has a question. He said, you read your dad's question.
How do you feel about the officers in the past who lost their job for stepping into to stop an officer from using excessive force? My heart goes out to the officers who have tried to do the right thing by trying to stop officers who have used excessive force. I know there's one officer, I'm not too sure exactly what agency she's from. She lost her job, I believe it was around 2006, between 2006 and 2008. She lost her job for intervening and stopping an officer from, I believe, using a chokehold on an individual. And this officer happened to be an African-American female officer, and she was fired, and she lost her pension. She was at her 19th year, getting ready to reach her 20th year, her 20th year is her retirement year, and she lost all of it. She was fired, lost her pension, and now they're trying to give her her pension back with back pay. But my heart goes out to them because they're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to actually help. That goes in again to racism within the agencies, sexism within the agencies, and then also this is not necessarily a word, but financialism within the agency, because like just take this officer for instance, this female, that's her right there, female, that's one strike against her. Black, that's another strike against her. And now she is a 19-year officer who's about to get her retire with her full pension. Financialism. We can take her pension away from her, and that's it. I mean, my heart goes out to her. It really goes out to her. And how do I feel personally? I feel bad. I feel bad because if you're doing the right thing, you should not be penalized for doing the right thing. But if you're going to be penalized, not penalized in that manner. Now, I have been taught, and I do understand that you don't have arguments or riffs with each other while you're out in the field. When you get back to the precinct or wherever it is, you take care of it there. But in a situation like this, where somebody's possibly going to lose their life over excessive force, that's a whole different discussion. That is a whole different discussion. That's not right.
Joel, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I mean, heart goes out to anybody who's stepped in and lost their job over it, as well as there's also, I don't know if Nick agrees with this or if he feels that too, but now there's such a concentration, and because the anger and the tensions are so high, there's like this propensity to let's go after their jobs. We're talking about real people who have families, who have mouths to feed, and if they're not doing anything wrong, where they weren't found to have done anything wrong, even after an investigation, people shouldn't be losing their job just because some district attorney is up for re-election and this is real people just trying to do the right thing. Obviously, if you've done something that warrants you losing your job, that's different. It's a different story. I don't feel sorry for that, but anyone that's stepping in to help a situation like this female officer and they lose their job, of course your heart breaks for them.
Yeah, it's unfortunate though. Here's the thing, that you lose your job for doing good, and there's a struggle for somebody else to lose their job for doing bad, and you're in the same industry. You know what I mean? We've seen, you know, there's been blatant killings by police that would be categorized as brutality, and it's hard to get a conviction. It's hard to get them to even get, you know, so a lot of times they get slapped on the wrist. This woman was doing what training called for, and her morality called for, and she got fired. So yeah, that's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I see some more people on. Tara, Ria's on. I see Leah's on. Kendra's on. Valerie is on. Shout out to you guys. Listen, y'all, while y'all watching, throw some hearts, throw some likes. These are two of my good brothers. Just show them some love on the comments, all right? So Kwane got a lot of questions. We're gonna get to your questions, Kwane. She like defund the police. What y'all think?
Hi, Kwane. So give Kwane a hug for me. Tell her I give her.
Absolutely. Let me see. We got a question from Rhea Cannon. She said, boom. With the current climate as hostile as it is, if the police officer who has all the power and backup fears for your life, why is it hard to fathom that a person being stopped justly or unjustly wouldn't feel the same way? Good question, Rhea.
No, absolutely. I can definitely empathize with anyone who's stopped by police. I'm on this side. I'm on the uniform side. And I know whether it's a car stop, whether it's a pedestrian stop, I can definitely appreciate that there's going to be apprehension, there's going to be some fears. And I can definitely understand that. The empathy is a beautiful thing. And I can certainly understand people that have been, you know, or whether it's perception, whether it's reality, which I agree, definitely there's been a lot of oppression concerning the African-American community. Absolutely. History says that and shows that. No one could deny that. So obviously when you're coming to a car stop or a pedestrian stop, and you can just tell the tensions are high, someone's nervous. So a lot of that, I personally use that to my advantage, and I share the information with the person while they're being stopped, and I let them know that, you know, I give them my name of the department, just so that to bring the tensions down. Everything's gonna be all right. I'm just stopping you for this reason. You have your license, registration, insurance, you know, and a smile goes a long way, by the way. A smile helps a lot. I've learned that.
I'm not one of them. Okay, just not me. That's not me. That's no me.
That's no me.
That's no me, Papi.
Yeah, I could definitely understand that.
Yeah. It shouldn't be hard to fathom, but the reason that another reason why it's possibly hard to fathom is because some officers going into being empathetic, some officers don't understand our cultural background. You look at me right now without knowing that I was a police officer or anything like that. You just see me, a black man. You have no clue that I'm a police officer. And so I'll use myself as an example. I'm driving in my car and I still get nervous when I see those lights on behind me.
Wow.
When the officer gets out the car and pulls me over, they have no clue that I'm an officer. All they see is a black male. And so where the empathy goes a long way, it sure does, because I understand the fear that a civilian would have being stopped. Whether it's justly or unjustly being stopped, it is nerve-wracking. And my heart does jump when I get pulled over, when I see those lights behind me, where I hear the whoop whoop, I get nervous.
I got nervous just now. I was like, where they at? Not playing.
But one of the things that caused my fear, which now we get into privilege, one of the things that calms my fear is that I have blue privilege. And so one of the reasons why it's hard to fathom for some officers to fathom is because they deal with privilege. Some of them deal with white privilege. They have not had the great experience of being black. And so they don't understand how often we get pulled over, what our label is. They don't understand our label. They don't see our label. And so they walk in their privilege. Likewise, when I get pulled over, I do get nervous, but then I remember, calm down. You have privilege. And so I do walk in a certain privilege. And while I'm happy I have this privilege, it is also disheartening to know that not everybody has this privilege. And not to say that I get away with murder. That's not it. That's not to say that I run every light. I don't. Not to say I'm always speeding. I don't sometimes. You know, I don't sometimes.
I don't sometimes.
But you know, I do walk in a certain stance of privilege, and so that it my heart goes out to now the people who have not done anything wrong, or who may have, you know, been maybe 5 miles over the speed limit, 10 miles over the speed limit, or might have had a tail light out, you know, and are slapped with a ticket or given a ticket. My heart goes out to them. But to answer your question, one of the reasons why it's hard to fathom is because, you know, they're not understanding. Some officers aren't understanding the plight or the great experience of a certain culture.
Yeah, man. Listen, I am a black man, clearly, okay, and I've been stopped by, and you know, I don't have no problem with saying the agency because I didn't appreciate this. Okay, I got stopped twice, and Joel, you probably might remember this because I think you were going to Agape at the same time. One time was in Clark, New Jersey, C-L-A-R-K, Clark, New Jersey. Okay, and the funny thing is that years later, I told a story to a Caucasian IT guy at my old job, and he was like, "Oh yeah, well, I wouldn't suggest you go to Clark at all. Don't go shopping." He said, "Don't drive through there." I was like, "Wow," he's a Caucasian guy, and this is what I'm talking about. Happened close to 20 years ago, maybe, yeah, about 20 years ago, and my conversation with him was probably about 15 years ago, and so, and I understand that nothing's changed. Listen. I didn't appreciate it. He stopped. I went to pick up Canton Jones at a spot in Montclair to bring him down to the church to for the youth thing that we were having. And we driving down Brant Avenue. The cop is sitting I'm about 3 cars back from the light, and the cop is sitting in the driveway with his lights on. So we inch up, and he sees me, 2 black men in the car. Get to the light, make a left, go down whatever street that is, and I see him come out. But I'm like, I ain't doing nothing, so I'm not, I'm just gonna keep going. Now, mind you, I'm new to Jersey. I've been in Jersey maybe 3 years, and so he pulls me over, and he pulls, he's like, I'm like, can I have your license registration, please? And I'm like, well, what do I do? So we went back and forth with that a couple of times, and so I said, okay, I'm gonna let him win. I gave my license registration. Now, my license happened to be in New York City. And this is weird because I had a license in New York City, but somehow I got a New Jersey license in the system. It was weird. And so that threw him off because the way he was talking to us was very disrespectful. He said something to Canton Jones. He said something to me. And it was very disrespectful. And I don't know, I can't say it was racism, but he was a whole white guy, and we were in Clark, New Jersey. And so I think I got thrown because my license was valid in New York, and then I had a New Jersey license in the system, so it kind of threw him. But that happened to me, and that was kind of light. The second thing that happened to me was in Woodbridge, New Jersey, and the cop stopped me for turning my wheel to the left when there's a sign that says no left turn. So then I just turned my wheel to the right, went to the right. He spins around and pulls me over. The first cop that stopped me was cool. The second, I was coming out of where Best Buy is, on Green Street, and there's a sign that says no left. So I was like, okay, I see it. I turned. I didn't even see him. He stops me. He was cool. The cop that stopped me was cool. But then his partner came around and goes, "I smell. You was in here smoking?" I'm like, "Sir, I wasn't here smoking." He's like, "You sure?" I said, "I'm absolutely sure I don't smoke. I'm a man of God. I don't smoke." He's like, "Cause I smell. You sure you didn't have a blunt?" And then he went like this, like trying to act black. He was like, "You sure you have a blunt?" And I was like, "You know what? You I don't curse, but I almost did. And I said, don't do that, sir. I said, because I don't smoke. I've never smoked in my life. And I said, you can check the whole car. And if you plant something in here, I'll have 350 people down here to vouch for my character. So he goes, oh, we got a smart one. I said, absolutely right, because I know what y'all do. And then he lightened up. You know what I mean? I didn't like that. Like, come on. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of us have had these experiences. So when we see those blue lights in the what are they? Blue, red, the lights spinning behind us, we get nervous. All our L's could be correct. We can have registration good, inspection, car, license, still get nervous. You know what I mean?
Dellz, you're not alone. You're not alone.
I'm sure.
You're not the only one that gets nervous on the stop. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of, and statistics will show this as well, a lot of officers lose their lives on what's called a routine traffic stop. Ain't nothing routine about a traffic stop. And so I know with myself, I'm very mindful of this person that I'm stopping, because a lot of times there's tinted windows involved. So I don't know what shade their skin is, and I don't care. I'm going to try to be as professional as I could on every stop. And I'm aware that they're most likely nervous. And there's professionalism that comes into play here, but also there's got to be some trust. So what my father-in-law has said he does, and this is very helpful for the public, and also for the officer.
Was he a cop or a civilian?
He's just a civilian.
Okay.
He's just a civilian. And whenever he's stopped, because he has tinted windows as well, he rolls all four of a Honda Accord 4-door. He rolls all windows down. He has his license out already, registration, and he puts both hands outside the window. When the officer comes to the window of a stop like that, Wardell, it's going to be like, have a nice day. I'm not saying you're not going to get a ticket. Don't quote me on that.
Right.
I don't know the nature of the stop.
But it's Joel said that I'm not going to get a ticket.
It's what I'm trying to say. It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult for me to want to write this person a ticket, irrespective of what he did, because I see the mindfulness, I see the consciousness, like, wow, he thought it enough to put because it's not just for his safety, it's for mine. So I look at the license, because this has happened where I stop someone and they do that. They put all the windows down, they have their license ready, and they have their hands on the steering wheel. When I see the license, hey, how you doing? The reason I stopped you is because you made a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn when you were supposed to, but have a nice day. And sometimes that's not the case. I'm sure Nick will also chime in. And sometimes you roll up and the window's literally up to here. And I find that very disrespectful, because now it's completely dark. I don't know what's in the car. I don't know where your hands are. I can't see both hands. So now just by virtue of that, it escalates the situation, because now both are nervous. Now the driver and the officer's nervous, because now this car could be packed. I don't know if there's there's people in the back. I don't know what's going on. So there's just little things that can help both the public and law enforcement on whether it's a routine car stop or whatever the case might be. But it's not just the driver that's nervous. We both are.
That's good to know too, because I mean, even that tip about rolling the windows down. And making sure you have your hands in a certain place. I mean, it feels like it would make you feel like you're a prisoner in that moment. But if you want to go home, you know what I mean? If you want to go home and you want to make sure you're safe, it will behoove you to do something like that. You know what I mean? To make sure that the officer feels safe as well as you. Because at the end of the day, like you said, Joel, if you roll up to a scene like that, you understand that this person has respect for you, and they understand that it can potentially not be safe for you as well. And so you're like, hey, listen, you did this. I'm gonna give you this ticket, okay, or not, and we're gonna keep it moving. You know what I mean? And that's important to understand. This is part of the reason why I wanted to do this. To
just piggyback off of Joel, when officers make a stop, they're, for the most part, nothing is foolproof. Nothing is foolproof. There may be times where a glitch may happen. When I say a glitch, I mean something out of the ordinary may happen. But if you're polite to an officer and you follow the directives or the instructions, 9 times out of 10, you'll leave happy, or maybe with a ticket, but you'll leave with your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean to put it so casual like that, leave with your life, but there's no buts about it. You'll leave with your life knowing that, you know, I'm fine and I'm going home. Now to also say, go alongside that, when officer makes a stop, 9 times out of 10, they aren't thinking about, I want to take this person's life. I want to cause harm or danger to this person. That just like you want to go home, that officer wants to go home at the end of their shift too. Like I said, nothing is foolproof, but the ordinary, the most logistic officer wants to go home. The logical officer wants to go home. Just like the civilian wants to go home, the officer wants to go home too. And so one of the best things to do is just comply. I like rolling down the windows. That works perfect for me when I make car stops, which is very rare. But the rolling down of the windows, as opposed to putting the hands on the outside of the car, which I used to like, but now it's because of just the climate. I tell when I do a car stop over the speaker, please put both hands on the steering wheel. You know, with the windows rolled down, that way, at least when I get out the car, I can see that the hands are on the steering wheel. It's hard to, you know, do the thing with the keys on top of the car now because you can't. Most cars now are push start.
Yeah.
Keys on top or not, it doesn't matter.
Now you gotta understand, the guys that are watching, you gotta understand. You're talking from the perspective of 2 good cops, wholesome dudes. You know what I mean? There are some people, just like individual people, who are out there who have ill intentions. You know what I mean? Who when they see a black person drive by, they're going to stop them with no reason. You know what I mean? And it happens. It's just like in any industry. There's good and bad people. You know what I mean? So you're looking at this through the lens of 2 individuals who are out there doing good and not doing bad. You know what? We are at the hour mark, but this is good. We're gonna keep going, okay? For a few minutes. I wanted to talk about Rayshard Brooks' situation with the taser, because now I had my opinion about it, and of course it was media based, okay? Then I had this Facebook Live a couple of weeks ago, and I talked to one of my good friends who was a retired Elizabeth PD officer, and she broke it down in a different context. And it kind of just, I was like, wow. I'm glad I talked to her because, you know, so you guys talk about it. Rayshard Brooks, taser. He took the taser, runs, turns around, points the taser at the officer. The officer shoots him dead. Dig in.
All right. First, obviously, I've seen a lot of commentary on it, and you know, oh, he was shot and killed for no reason. Not quite. There's a lot more to it. I'm not going to talk about the legal aspects and the justification or not, but he was initially stopped because he fell asleep at the Wendy's drive-thru, and he was asleep because he had been driving drunk. He was drunk, and the breathalyzer proved that he was drunk. Obviously, a lot of lives are taken every single year through drunk driving. So at best, the best case scenario, this would have been a DUI arrest, and he would have gone to court and likely lost his license for a year. I don't know what the laws are in that state, or if it was longer or less, but that would have been. Obviously, we all saw that a fight ensued once the handcuffs were presented, and fist fight, and then obviously, as you said, Ordell, he confiscated forcefully the taser. Now, a taser is incapacitating in nature, and it will incapacitate the person. So obviously, if this strikes the officer, he could incapacitate the officer, and also have access, because if I'm incapacitated as an officer, now you have access to all my weapons, and one of them obviously is a gun. I'll kick it to you, Nick, from there.
Yeah, you just don't know what could have happened. Mr. Brooks had the taser, and if the taser would have went off, if it would have hit the officer, if it would have went off on the officer would have been incapacitated, as Joel said, and you know, Mr. Brooks would have had access to any of his weapons. It could have gone terribly wrong for the officer. Unfortunately, it went terribly wrong for Mr. Brooks. And I know it looked like police brutality, and in a sense, if that's your opinion, then it is. And if it's not your opinion, then it's not your opinion. And I won't say what I think towards it, whether it's justified or not justified, because I've watched the tape over and over again, and I've tossed and turned on the decision. But one of the things that I can't help but think of, if I would have been in that situation and my taser was taken, what my next recourse would have been.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, my next recourse might have been the same as the officer, to fire off my firearm. Reason being, because if I would have been tased with the taser, Mr. Brooks might have had access to my weapon. Now, he might have fled. That could have been one scenario. And that's that. But what if? And we always work off of the what ifs. What if the officer shot him in his leg? Well, what if Mr. Brooks would have taken the gun? You know, we always working off of the what ifs. Now, we do know what did happen, and what did happen was unfortunate. But what did happen was possibly a play off of what if that was happening. You know, and so it's very unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, so this is how I thought. Like, I'm like, okay, the dude is running. Let him run. He's drunk. Where's he gonna go? Okay, you got his whole car there. You got, I think he still had his license, his actual license with him, the cop. Where's he gonna go? Let him run. So you know what I mean? Now that's probably not how you're trained to do. It's probably not protocol, okay? But I'm just saying, in my civilian head, like, let the dude run. How far can he go? Outside of that, the other thing I was thinking, like, he ran, so that must mean that he was a distance from the officer. One question I have is, are there cartridges in the taser? Are there several cartridges, more than one in the taser? If you shoot the taser off and it connects, is that the end of that? You got to reload. You know what I mean? The other question is, if he was at a distance from the, how far does the taser shoot off? Like, you know, if he's 25 feet away.
Just before Nick responds to that, I just wanted to throw in a quick fact. These are split-second decisions that we're all having days, weeks, and months to judge and discuss, and what could have been done. They're good hypotheticals, but in the spur of the moment, in a split-second decision, right? Tunnel vision, the concept that Nick spoke about. In a situation like that, we don't know exactly what the person is going to do. We don't know if he would have kept running. We don't know. So there's a lot that goes on in a split-second decision that we discuss now. But as I understand it, because I don't use a taser, we don't have tasers. But as I understand it, once you fire off the first tase and it connects, you cannot fire a second time. Is that right, Nick?
That's correct. But what also can happen is you can take the cartridge once the taser is deployed. You can take the cartridge out, but you can still dry sting an individual, which means all you get is pure electric shock. So electric waves are just going through you. It's like just a regular stun gun, and you're just zapping the person.
Oh, that's why this horrible case where the cop had the taser in the pregnant woman's stomach.
Yes,
and he kept
horrible. That was wrong.
This is why I'm saying that I appreciate you guys, because you don't go out the house as an officer looking to do this. But this man, something has to be wrong with this man in his head to take a taser and point it. It wasn't in her arm; it was in her stomach where she was carrying a baby. You know what I mean?
I didn't even know that story. This is the first.
Yeah, Google it, bro. He took it. He already tased her, and then he took the taser and put it in her stomach, and it was just like just kept going.
Yeah,
he just kept going. So it's called a dry buzz.
Dry.
A dry what?
Dry sting.
A dry sting. Okay. I don't want the wet sting or the dry sting. Okay. No. I know that's right. That thing looked like it hurt this woman. She was screaming and crying. Tara said there's a similar case in Smyrna, Georgia on Thursday before this happened, where a white man did the same thing and actually shot the officer, and that man was subdued without dying. She's like, what happened? So I guess basically the cop, I guess somebody grabbed the cop's gun or something like that, and I don't know. Wait, I thought I caught it, but
yeah.
I mean, did the same thing and actually shoot the officer, and that man was subdued without dying. Terry, you're gonna have to elaborate on that, ma'am. But she did say she lives in Georgia, and I do notice that in the South, these things happen a whole lot more than they happen up here in the North. You know what I mean? And I don't know what that has to do with. I don't know if it has to do with like the KKK being down there. I don't know what that has to do with, but it does happen a lot more in the South than up here in the North. We have our things going on, you know, like Eric Garner and things like that. But you know, it does happen a lot down there. I wanted to so basically to summarize, the taser was pulled from the officer. He shot. Did he shoot the taser or no?
At one point, he did. When he was running, he turns around and shoots it.
And shoots it. Okay. So Beverly Smith said, "What if he shot him in the leg? What is the training surrounding that? Is you both smiling? What's
Go ahead, Nick. I'll deflect to you.
What is the training? Are you? And if you can't answer this question, it's fine. Hey, mom, my mother's watching. Y'all shut up, my mother. Say hi to my mother. Hey, mom.
Hey, mom.
Hey, mom.
How you doing?
What is the if you can't tell me, this is kind of cool. What is the thought, I guess, on not shooting to kill versus shooting to kill? And I know this is in a moment, you know, we're all you know, you don't know what's going on, shoot up, shoot down, like, you know, what is that whole thought?
Well, number one, I'll say this. We're not taught to shoot to kill. We're taught to stop. As far as shooting in the legs or in the arm, something that's appears, and I'll use quote unquote appears to be less dangerous, or where my backup just go?
No, go ahead. No, I know his family was coming in. I didn't know if he needed to.
Oh, there we go. I need my backup. But no, we're not taught to shoot to kill. We're not taught to shoot to kill at all. I will say this: shooting in the arm, shooting in the legs, aiming to shoot in the arms or shooting in the legs. According, my opinion is that it's just not logical. The reason being I say it's not logical is because it's not a large body mass. The arms and the legs are constantly moving. If I aim at the arm, within a second, the arm can move, the leg can move, and what I was aiming at will miss and hit somebody else. In the torso, which is a large body mass, even if an individual moves, I'll still have and the round goes off. I still have a certain amount of time to still penetrate that large body mass that I was actually aiming for. The arms, the legs, if that moves, I'm definitely missing. Even though I was aiming at it, it can move quick and I'll miss. The body mass, even if I move, I still have a more portion of the body mass that if what I was aiming at moves, it would still 9 times out of 10 hit that body mass. Let me throw this in there as well. The head is never a target. Never a target.
Well, it's a smaller body mass too than the whole.
Very small body mass, and the head that's going to do damage. Now, I would say this also. I do want to say this, that people always say that the leg, it'll be less lethal if you hit the leg. That's not necessarily true, because you have a major artery in the leg, and people have died from being shot in the leg because I don't know how, but usually, it's happened where when a round hits that artery or hits the leg, it usually hits that artery, and people bleed out. You can bleed out in seconds once it hits that artery, and so the leg is not really a good place to be hit at anyway. The upper body, the torso, you have bones which will stop a round from penetrating more than likely will stop around from penetrating a major organ because the bones surround the organs, the major organs. So that's one of the reasons.
Let me tell you something. The leg thing is interesting. I mean, I understand where why somebody would say that. But listen, as a dude, there's other things down there that I don't want shot. Okay, I think I'll take a round in the stomach. Y'all, I'll take a round in the stomach and leave my stuff alone. Okay, I need it. All right, yeah. So shoot him in the leg. No, all right, sir. Pull it up a little bit. Just shoot me right in the stomach. If you're gonna have to shoot me, do it in the stomach, or just not down there. I don't want to get shot at all. I'm just saying. Hey, Kathleen Spencer, Tasha Height, what's up, y'all? Listen, that's something to think about, man. Because I guess even in shooting range, don't they have templates of body parts, and you got to aim for the midsection, right?
Yeah, you got to keep in mind, if we're responsible for every bullet that comes out. So if you aim for a leg or an arm and you miss, you could potentially be hitting the child that's in the background in a stroller, and you got to live with that with every single. So the upper body mass, like Nick said, I don't need to echo it, but it reduces the possibility of somebody else getting harmed that doesn't have to be.
So I mean, the Rayshard Brooks case with the taser, I mean, that was very unfortunate. I do think, as a person who understands, and kind of looks at both sides, I do think it could have went a different way. Again, it's the heat of the moment, like you said, Joel, and we can't really say what we would do. Even you guys as officers, you really can't say for sure what you would do in the heat of the moment, because it's a moment where your life is can potentially be a danger yourself. And as a man, as you guys as men with families, you want to come home to your family. You know what I mean? And the same rings true for the individuals who are being stopped or who are on the other side of that gun. Let me see. We have some more questions. Let me just throw Rhea up here. She said, my concern is that it just seems as though when it comes to a person of color, there's little to no de-escalation used. However, when you're a lighter skin tone, now we can hit officers, walk with guns, even threaten them with a shotgun or a machete. Yet they always seem to end up having their day in court while we trade in. All right. Yeah. So, I mean, you know what? That comment reminds me of the video I seen where I think everybody involved was Caucasian. The guy was in his car. He looked like he was raged, like crazy, some type of mental health situation. And he jumps out the car. He lunges at the cop that had their gun out. The cop put the gun away. The guy ran around. You seen that, Nick? The guy ran around. I was like, what is going on here? And so to black people, we're looking at that like, listen, we know if that was a black person, he'd have been dead. Whether that's true or not, that's the way we feel. You understand what I mean? Because it's happened so much. You know what I mean? And I think, like Nick said, there is this privilege that comes along with being a cop, but there's also a privilege that comes along with being a Caucasian person in America. And it's just unfortunate that we're looked at the way we're looked at. Like the cop that stopped me, he just stopped us because we was two black dudes in a truck. I promise you, there was no other reason. He never gave me a reason why he stopped me. Never. Even after I gave him my New York license, and he ended up giving me a ticket for having a suspended New Jersey license. That was the only ticket he gave me. You know what I mean? So why is this that we got to deal with this in America? You know what I mean? So now we're here. Let's fast forward this to these protests and riots and looting. Kind of share with me how you guys feel about this whole thing. You guys are both in it. Like you're in it. You're not looking at it on TV, you're in it. You know what I mean? What's some of your experiences being on the inside? How you guys feel about that? Like the response to what's been going on in America for all these years.
Yeah, I look at I see the protests. I'm involved in the protests, and you know, people. Well, I'm all for protests. I'm all for it's constitutional, and especially when it's peaceful, that helps too. But people, you know, they're speaking their minds. I've had a lot of positive, believe it or not, experiences where the same people holding the banners are saying thank you for your service and giving me the nod. You know, thank you. And I've also had some negative, some not so positive. Experiences as well. But I'm all for the protests so long as they're peaceful and nobody gets hurt on either side. But they can get ugly and have gotten ugly, right, Nick?
Clearly,
they have.
Clearly. Nick said they have. When you say that nod, that's when it's dead serious. He's like, they have.
But I'm all for protests as well. I'm for marching. I'm for protesting. The rallies, I'm all for it. The rioting, the looting, I'm not for. Now, with these particular protests, rallies, marches, I've been to quite a few of them as an officer working. In times past, I've been to marches. I've been to rallies. Gotten to march with Dr. Sharpton, Dr. Jackson, Dr. Dyson. This go around, I didn't attend any marches, any rallies, anything, except for when I'm working. And the things that I've been hearing, I've gotten my thank you, officer, for your service, but that's after the fact. I've gotten, I'm an Uncle Tom for wearing the uniform that I'm wearing. You know, I should be ashamed to be black. I'm not really black. I should quit my job. I don't know how I'm gonna support my family, but I should quit my job. I should stop being a police officer and just go to security, something good like security. I've heard it. Then I've heard the profane language at some of these rallies, and it's disheartening. But I understand. While it's disheartening, I understand. Things have been happening for years. And to be honest, before I was officer, things happened. After I was officer, things happen. Things happen. And I understand. I understand the reason for the protesting. I'm not saying that it should stop. I understand the reason for it. I understand. My heart empathizes with the people. My heart empathizes with my people. My heart empathizes with the victims. My heart empathizes with America that is not heard. My heart empathizes. I believe that everything should be done in decency and in order. And for the rallies, the protests, the marches that I've been at working, everything that I've been at, thank God, has been done in order. Even though there may have been a lot of profane language thrown my way, a lot of discourtesy thrown my way, everything has been done in order. One of the things, and I did bow my head and say, it has, because some of the protests have gotten out of order. It's happened after I left, after I've been relieved of my tour of duty. But that's when the rioting started. That's when the looting started. And that doesn't help the cause at all. But if protesting is going to be done, just let it be done in decency and in order. I mean, points getting heard. Just today, I believe, not necessarily with the defunding the police, but I believe the $1 billion budget, $1 billion budget that was allocated to a certain agency in New York is now being allocated towards youth services, which I'm an advocate for. I want the youth to have the money in this city. We need more community centers. We need more parks. We need more recreation for our young people. So that money going towards the young people, wonderful, wonderful. The protesting, the rallying, the marching, it's being heard. It's being heard.
Yeah, man.
I noticed, Dellz, where there's two groups right now that are saying the exact same thing. And that is, we, the officers, Nick, myself, and all officers are saying, we're not that guy. We're not Derek Chauvin. We're not him. So whether I'm stopping you in a car stop, whether I'm stopping you to put I'm not that guy. This is not going to go down like that. My knee's not going to wind up on your neck. I'm not going to be a pain in your neck that way. Maybe a ticket, but not like that. And then you have the African-American community that are saying that Black lives also matter. And they're saying, we're not these looters. We're not these rioters. We're not them. So we're both saying the same thing. If we could just sit down and listen to each other, we might understand each other better. Because we're both saying the same thing. We both have fears. We both have aspirations. We're both saying the same thing. And this is very helpful, I think. And big ups to you, Wardell, for this.
You know what? You said that's good because a part of the reason why I did this, and I said this at the top of the live, was that I'm watching some of these comments, and I'm gonna comment on the comments in a second. But the thing is, civilians, the public, our community needs to take a second and listen. You know what I mean? Listen to the side that we're coming up against. You know what I mean? And again, I'm talking to two good cops. Okay, there are bad cops out there. I understand. I don't want nobody to think that that's not the case. I'm just saying, but if we take a second to listen, because like I said earlier, the part about the taser, I never thought about if he gets the taser and shoots me as an officer and I go down, he has access to all my weapons. I never even thought about that. I just was like, it's a shame that he shot that man in the back. He's running away and he shot him. I don't care if he had a taser in his hand. But then when I heard it from an officer, I was like, okay, you know what I mean? And I think we need to take time to listen. I'm seeing some of these comments over here. Some of them are not they seem like, and you know, you can't tell tone in reading, but they seem a little bit hostile, you know what I mean? And it's like, I understand that. I understand the passion behind that. But at the same time, we just need to take a second and listen. I think what also makes sense from the police perspective is to understand where we're coming from. You know what I mean? Do everything you can to understand where the public is coming from, especially the African-American community. You know what I mean? The weird thing is that these protests have, like, everybody's out there. I've never seen Black people, white people, Asians, Hispanics together ever in my life this much, doing this much together for one cause. So that means something's wrong. You know what I mean? Now, I got to shout out I don't know his ranking, but he's a high-ranking officer because he had a white shirt on, okay, in Camden, New Jersey. When they did the first protest, he was there. He came out, and before the thing started, he said, listen, our sole purpose here is for you guys to have a voice. He told us to the marchers, it's for you guys to have a voice. And for me, that was smart, even if he didn't mean it. And I don't know the dude. I don't know if he meant it or not. But even if he didn't mean it, that was smart for him to do that, because what he did was he injected hope into these people who could now potentially go and protest peacefully or go and loot, you know, loot the stores and act the fool. You know what I mean? So he de-escalated it right away. The other thing is there was an NYPD high-ranking official who took a knee with the protesters. I mean, this is weeks in. It was a little too late, in my opinion, but he did it. And as a result of it, and this is what I want to talk about next, ask you guys about next. As a result of it, soon as that happened, the first thing you seen in the media was officers want to resign. They want to take early retirement because they didn't feel like the top brass has their back. Tell me what you feel about that.
Well, if I can speak to the officers that do want to resign for the empathetic heart by higher ranking officials, and I've been asked about this before, and I'll say it again, let them resign. I'll see them later, let them resign. Reason being is because if that's the stance that they're going to take, that's not the officer that you want to be out there on patrol. That's not the officer that you want to respond if you have a car accident, if you do get pulled over, if you have a family dispute. That's not the officer that you want to respond if you go into cardiac arrest or have some type of medical emergency, because are they really going to care? That's not the officer you want on patrol. That's not the officer that you want in a police department. The officer you want in the police department is the one who's going to stay, the one who's going to be there to help you in your time of need. You want officers, and not to brag, but you want officers like myself, officers like Joel, who are whose heart is really there to be police officers. One of the things that if you want to ask me years ago what I wanted to do when I was, if you have to ask me when I was a kid what I wanted to do when I became an adult, say a police officer. Why? Because I want to help people. Well, that's what police work is helping people. And so you don't want the officers who aren't going to help people. If they want to leave, let them find another career.
Right.
I want to do my due diligence and help people.
Agreed.
That's good money. That's good money. And that was my response immediately. I was like, deuces, peace. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Okay. To be honest, and of course it's media. You know the way the media portrays things, but the way the article read was, it was like, this is what they want to do. They want to resign and take early retirement. And then one of them was quoted to say, "We don't have any backup no more. Our top brass want to take a knee with the protesters." That was when I was like, deuces, because you're basing this on the fact that it's emotional. It's not even like a career move. It's emotional that you seen the gentleman take a knee with the protesters, which honestly I think was smart, but it was smart, but it was way too late. Like, okay, let's salvage whatever we can of this thing. Let's calm these people down. Let me take a knee with them and let them see that we're here for them. You know what I mean? Hey, again, I don't know if he was genuine or not, but he did it. I think it was smart in the moment. It might have helped a few of the protesters. The larger cause, I'm not sure, but there's a like you said, Nick, there is, when you have good intentions, they'll come out. You know what I mean? You guys are not trying to leave. You guys are staying there. You know what I mean? What's the difference between you and them and those guys? You know what I mean? So I think that's important to see. And important to point out, because there are a lot of good cops out here, and that are down for the cause. You know what I mean? Well, and can take their personal opinion and their emotions out of it and just do their job as a police officer. You know what I mean? Shout out to Terrell Nunn, all the way from Houston, Texas. She's in the building. Your dad is still here, Ray. I'm sorry. I called you Ray, your dad. Nick, your dad is still here. And so I wanted to see if there was any more questions. I know we are over time, but it's cool. This is good, fellas. I really appreciate. I really do. And I think this highlights what you guys do and the other side from a good perspective. You know what I mean?
Thank you, Wardell.
I wouldn't have put no bad cops on here, okay? Because if I did, I would have let the boys come and eat them alive with these comments. I'm telling you. Let me see. And we have other law enforcement officers who don't serve as police. We have corrections officers. We have prosecutors. I think there's other individuals who serve, and I'm sure they have opinions too. You know what I mean? And I wish to get one or two of them on here as well, because they have a different perspective also. Let me see. There are a lot of good cops. Hope said there are a lot of good cops. I know a few older, retired, and a few younger. Terry, you had a question earlier. I think I posted it, but I didn't really understand it. You said something about living in the South, and if you could post it again, that'd be cool. There was a question on here that I seen that I wanted to bring up. Your conscience has to live with the bad decisions. That's good. Well, Beverly said your conscience has to live with bad decisions. I mean, if you came in with a bad conscience from the gate, like, okay, you know what I mean? This is what I mean. There's difference between bad cops and good cops.
If Wardell, could I say something to that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think anyone at all joins the academy with the with the intentions, I'm going to shoot and kill somebody. I think what eventually happens is you see the heart of man. And, you know, scripture tells us that the heart of man is wicked. So whether you're a doctor, whether you're a nurse, whether you're a teacher, you know, not all teachers are child molesters and child abusers. There's, you know, there's a few, but there's also, you know, just like there's bad cops. So I think what comes out eventually in the career of that officer is what's in the heart, whether it's good or bad. I just wanted to highlight that, you know, the sin nature, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't discriminate on careers and professions.
It's very true. But I do think if you have like if your heart is ill-intended and you join a police force where you have authority,
yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's unfortunate.
If you were racist, if you were raised by racist parents,
yeah,
and you taking on that racism yourself, and now you go join a police force, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have had trouble with black people when you were younger, you know what I mean, and now you go join a police force, you listen, you know what I mean?
No, I hear you.
So I don't want to say that people have, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna go join the police so I can shoot black people. I don't want to say that, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, if you've had that situation, you might be more prone to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe
No, I hear you.
Want to be a policeman. Maybe go be a fireman. You know what I mean? Or maybe go be a lawyer, a doctor, or something. You know what I mean?
I agree 100%. You should have some urban experience. I was being born and raised in Newark. You should have some urban experience in you to be a law enforcement officer. That's just a recommendation I have for the hiring process.
It's true. Even if you go work up in Milburn, or you know what I mean, you should probably have some urban experience. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to Milburn because they never bothered me in Milburn. I used to drive to Milburn. I got stopped, and actually the cop ended up being when I worked at ADTC, the prison. I would walk around the prison and minister to the inmates with a Hispanic couple, and the cop that stopped me actually ended up being their son. It was crazy. Yeah, so we sat in the patrol car and shot the breeze for a minute, and I was late to work. But yeah, I mean, you know, so again, it's good cops. And again, so you know, my intention today, we're rolling up on 2 hours, so we're gonna let this go. But my intention today was just to have a dialogue with two of my good buddies and good cops who can offer their perspective as good cops and as police officers. You know what I mean? I think it's important that we take time out to hear what you guys have to say, to hear it from your perspective. And I'm very grateful to both of you. As I said at the top of the live, I salute both of you for the great job you do in and out of your uniforms. You know what I mean? Keep up the good work, gentlemen. Okay.
Thank you.
I would say if you need something, I got you, but I can't help y'all. Y'all listen, y'all out there doing it. Like ain't nothing I could do. But definitely be safe. Shout out to Huey Nunn from Houston, Texas that just joined. He's military. I need to get him on here, talk about from his perspective what he's seeing, and whatnot. But gentlemen, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Be safe.
George couldn't make it. I think he was on his way back. Look, he just texted me. I'm so sorry. He has something going on. We forgive you, sir, but you owe me one. I'm gonna tell you that right now. All right, gentlemen. Any last comments before we get off this thing?
Yeah, real quickly, to the community, Blue, we're with you. We're with you. We're not against you, and we're not Derek Chauvin. My heart goes out.
We're not Derek Chauvin.
Yep, we're not him. We're not him.
So I'll say this. Your dad said, "Thank you, gentlemen, for tonight and your service. It's appreciated by all of us." And I totally agree. All right, gentlemen. Thank you again, and we'll talk soon. We will talk soon. God bless you both.
God bless you all.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
All right, man.
God bless.
So that's it, y'all. Facebook Live with Dellz is done. This is a very important live to me personally, and I think it was. Hopefully, you got something out of it. Hopefully, you're able to think beyond our own emotions now, and to see it from a different side. You know what I mean? We definitely need to work together with the police department, with the good cops, to make sure they stay good and to make sure we stay safe. Stay safe. So I love you all. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. If you're on the replay, thank you for watching till the end. It's been an hour and 40-something minutes. Okay. And I will be back on Monday. I'm gonna say Monday. And we'll continue a conversation like this. Okay. So y'all stay tuned. I'll put it on my Facebook and you'll see. Y'all never know what I'm talking about, but you'll see on this week when I promote it. Thank you all for your comments, your questions. I apologize if I didn't get to your questions. They were coming heavy. I couldn't get to them all, but thank you. Appreciate it. All right, y'all. I'm out. Signing off. Deuces. God bless. Have a good night.